Hi all, in this video we will try to understand the close conjunction of Rahu and Mercury that is going to occur on 11th May 2021. This conjunction is important because Rahu is exalted and also this conjunction is happening on Amavasya day or no moon day. Let me show you it is Amavasya day or not. If you observe the 10th May, the Chaturdashi means the 14th day of a Paksha, of course this is Krishna Paksha, the waning phase of moon, right? The Chaturdashi is up to 9:55 p.m. 10th May. So from 9:56 p.m. 10th May onwards, Amavasya is going to be started. Now, when this Amavasya will end? This Amavasya is present till 12:29 a.m. of 12th May. So till that point, you can see Amavasya. Amavasya means no moon day. You can see the complete black circle here for the moon representation. The moon's representation is completely a black circle here, right? So this is a Chaitra Krishna Paksha Amavasya, and it is more than 24 hours if you observe, right? It's more than 24 hours. So let me show you this one, the 10th May. So from 9:56 p.m. onwards, Amavasya is starting, right? So from 9:56 p.m. 10th May to from 9:56 p.m. 10th May to, let me show you the 11th, 9:56 p.m., right? Till that point you have 24 hours done. And after that also you can see this one till 12:29 a.m. of May 12th. So it is almost 2.5 hours more, means 26.5 hours Amavasya, right? The day, right? The whole thing, 24. So this is present till 12:29 a.m. 12th May. Okay, so on 11th May you have 11th May night you have a complete Amavasya, a full Amavasya you can observe, right? Now let's go to the Kundali. When this particular close conjunction of Rahu and Mercury is happening, so on 11th May, the 9 p.m. If you see 11th May 9 p.m., the app I am using is Drik Panchang app. You can download it for free in Google Play Store. So this is 11th May 2021. This is 9 p.m. Okay, the Mercury is at 17 degree Taurus, 51 minute 50 seconds. Rohini third pada. And now if you check Rahu, it is also at 17 degree Taurus, 51 minute 55 seconds, Rohini third pada, right? So clearly you can understand. So if you just move plus or minus 2 minutes or something, you may observe even more close conjunction. But see, this is at this point of time, you can see a very close conjunction of Rahu and Mercury. With respect to Earth, they are almost close, they are almost united, right? Now, what this particular event is going to trigger, what this particular event, this particular astrological event is going to trigger. Now, before going to that, we need to understand what is Rahu in mundane astrology, and also what is Mercury in mundane astrology, right? And what is going to happen because of this particular close conjunction. So initially we will try to understand Rahu. So Rahu is actually, it's not a planet, it's a shadow planet, it's a node actually, right? So this particular node, this particular Rahu is more malefic in nature by default. The only positive thing of Rahu is the out of the box innovation. The scientific things this Rahu represents is out of the box. You can never imagine that kind of innovation, right? That much of intelligence it is showing, right? That is Rahu. And there are some negative sides, right? If you observe, so Rahu does not exist as a physical planet. It acts as an agent with respect to the constellations and their respective lords. It is just an agent, but it is more powerful. It's just a point, just a node. It's very powerful. Rahu actually carries the attributes of Saturn, but it is more than Saturn. Saturn plus something more. The maleficity of Saturn plus something more, maleficity. So Rahu denotes war and violence of extremes. It indicates political and financial turmoil, right? So Rahu represents war, invasion, violence, attacks, assault, execution, death by hanging, graveyards, tombs, caves, darkness. Just feel the energy of Rahu. It's very malefic. Accidents, adventure, fear of poisoning. So Rahu is the head of a serpent, full of poison. Rahu represents destabilization, the political plot, the revolution, the destabilization, strikes, boycotts, right? And in the financial activity, it represents all the financial frauds, the currency gambling, the illegal financial trading, the unregistered financial markets and activities, black market, illegal cash, illegal money transfers. It's a hawala, people say hawala, right? Money laundering. So negative practices, all the religious negative practices, anti-social activities. Let us say a person belongs to one religion but he practices another religion secretly. That energy is also Rahu. The anti-religious activities, right? Parallel religions, cheating, theft, robbery, jealousy, secret character, corruption, gambling, nightclubs, right? You just feel the energy of Rahu, right? So irreligious practices. In the diseases, of course, it represents all the epidemics, plague, viral diseases, cancer, skin diseases. All these things are represented by Rahu. So Rahu is malefic. The only positive thing is out of the box innovation. Of course, Mercury also represents some scientific research, some innovation stuff, but it's a regular research, it's a more academic research, Mercury, right? It's a very expected scientific innovation, but Rahu is out of the box innovation. Now, we will try to understand what is Mercury, what Mercury represents in mundane astrology. So Mercury is mainly related to communication stuff, right? Whatever communication you see, they're all related to Mercury only, right? So the publishing industry, mainly the academics, right, is represented by Mercury. The intellectual world is Mercury. The world of writing, the world of publishing, media and communication. And also it signifies the treaties among the countries, the written agreements among the countries, scientific organizations, computer programming, right? It represents business, trade, commerce, stock market, right? The news media, the print media, whatever media you see, the paper media, television, radio, internet, news, press, editors, the reporters, everything you see, that is all the communication, the magazines, right? The public relations, everything, advertising, rumors, even broadcasting the rumors, right? The information, wherever some information is present, that is Mercury. The signals, the wireless communication, the weather forecasting, the conferences, even the assembly meetings and parliamentary meetings, everything can be represented by Mercury. The written agreements, even a spoken agreement, and a spoken word, that is also Mercury. All the intellectual world, the publishing industry, the educational institutions, high schools, all places of teaching and learning, lectures, studies, principles of schools, textbooks, wherever you find an academic textbook, that is Mercury. Writers of legal writings or whatever in the laws, so whatever legal writings, laws and reforms related, communication, right? Everything is represented by Mercury. Research, Mercury is research. Mercury is business. Mercury is commerce and industry, trade and commerce, imports and exports, merchants, any kind of merchandise, dealers, business matters, purchase and sale transactions, right? The interest rates, the brokerage and agents, the stockbrokers, the stock market, the transport, the travel industry and transport industry, right? So even in the government, any kind of voice communication, any kind of national opinion oriented communication, right? The treaties, the written agreements among the countries, everything is this, all communication related stuff is actually represented by Mercury. And diseases represented by Mercury or anxiety, the nervous diseases, the brain diseases, right? The absent-mindedness is a disease, and that is also represented by Mercury. Breathing, suffocation, bowel troubles, food poisoning, all these things are actually represented by even the intestinal afflictions, intestinal infections, the insomnia, the mental derangement, the mental disorders, right? The restlessness. These are all represented by Mercury. Now what happens when this Rahu and Mercury are meeting on 11th May 1221, 9 p.m. See, you can clearly understand Rahu is exalted in Rohini. That is why it is very important. The conjunction is very important. So because of this, Rahu is a malefic energy. So all the communication and media, right, is going to be affected because of this. And also, you can understand, as Rahu and Mercury are meeting, the positive side is there would be an out-of-the-box innovation, because Mercury itself is an innovation and Rahu is out-of-the-box innovation. So there is going to be a great innovation. This particular event is going to trigger a great innovation that you never ever expect. You know, so that kind of innovation may trigger. And what else it can represent? So mainly the communication industry and the transport industry and the stock market. There would be extremes you can see in the stock market. Either the stock market will go very high or it will go very low. Extremes you can see because of this Rahu and Mercury conjunction, for sure. Now, and also the rulers of a country, because of the communication, there would be a problem because of wrong communication, because Mercury is a beautiful communication, but Rahu is involved. It's going to be malefic. Because of some malefic communication, because of some wrong communication, rulers of a country may take a bad decision, and that bad decision is going to affect a country in the long term. Right? And that is the most important thing here. So better rulers should take care of the communication they are receiving from the lower levels. The communication would be wrong, and based on that, if they take any kind of decision, that is going to affect the country in the long run. And better rulers avoid making written agreements or treaties with other countries, with the neighbors. Any kind of treaty or agreement, written agreement, would lead a bad effect in the long run. Right? And let me tell you, this particular Taurus, especially in the case of India, so India got independence on this 15th August 1947, 12 a.m. But actually the constitution formed on 26 January 1950. You can take the time as 10 a.m. in the morning, because that time the constitution is produced in the parliament or wherever, right? It's actually, you can take that time. So let me take that one here. So 1950, that is 1950, right? So this is 1950 and this is January and this is 26 and the time is 10 a.m. Let me use that time. And the birth time, this one is places, I'm taking Delhi because that's the capital of India. So you can clearly see India's Pisces ascendant and Rahu is present there, right? So third house here, this particular Taurus is actually the third house in India's birth chart. So what is third house in? What is third house in mundane astrology? So in mundane astrology, generally, see, you can see third house is always the representation of communication and transport, right? The communications and media, any kind of, right? So the social media is going to be very much impacted. Rahu is actually the negative force here. So the communication and transport is going to be very much impacted. And in mundane astrology, third house represents people's mood and sentiment, right? So third house is a supportive house which leads to corrective or progressive actions from the rulers. So it is actually it's feeding the ruler with some communication, the third house, based on the energy of third house, based on the communication energy of third house, the ruler tends to take some decisions. So the public opinion, mental attitude of people's reaction to whatever events happen in a country, these are all related to the public sentiment and mood, people's reaction to natural events, right? That is clearly represented by third house. The transport mainly, whether it is roadway transport or buses or automobiles, railways, waterways, airways, whatever, right? It's all transport. So a transport now is filled with this particular malefic energy, the Rahu energy. People's movement is decided by transport, right? Whether it is for business or for any holiday trip, whatever. Even the travel to neighboring countries or abroad, or the traffic conditions, all the things are related to transport only. A communication, especially the print media, the magazines, the social media, these are all impacted by Rahu now, the Rahu's malefic energy, right? That is one possibility. And there's another possibility is there would be some innovation in this particular social media or whatever. So the mood of the common people, this third house indicates the sentiment, mood and attitude of the people, of the nation. If this particular third house is afflicted, negative mood which can drive change is indicated, right? So it is actually afflicted now because Rahu is present, right? So benefics would involve a beautiful thing, like benefics in the third house indicate people's support to current events or their resilience in the face of adversity. The actual events being indicated by other houses also, people can bear it if third house is very benefic. If third house is malefic, the people's behavior would change. They have a negative mood, they have a negative support to the current events that are going to happen, right? So mood of the common people is very important. It has a far-reaching effect. You should understand that. So let us say when a third house is afflicted, that indicates people's mood is not conducive to spending. Even they don't want to spend much amount. It can have an effect on travel to neighboring countries also. They don't want to spend, so the transport would be affected, right? So it is also going to affect the house of finance, because if people are not interested to travel because of this Rahu malefic energy, the house of finance is also going to be impacted. House of finance is of course the second house in any astrology. So benefics in the third house is good, but malefics in the third house is bad, right? So mood of the people is very much important. And also in the field of communication, the afflicted third house can indicate negative impact in all the fields of communication like publications, visual media, internet, right? There's so many negative impacts on this. So people better not involve much communication in internet after this, at least for a few days, right? Because totally it will affect the public mood and sentiment, leading to some large scale changes. It may lead to some change in the government also, right? It may lead to that also, right? It may lead to, so a simple communication, a simple bad communication may result in change of a minister, change of a chief minister, change of someone, some intellectual, somebody from the government, just because of wrong communication, right? So even more, malefics in the third house indicate poor relationships with neighboring countries. As this particular third house is afflicted, there could be border clashes. A signing of treaties with the foreign countries is a form of communication arising out of an understanding with the country. Even the treaties are going to be bad. The signing of treaties is not a good time, right? So the border clashes also indicated here. So malefics, as malefics are in the third house, the malefic Rahu is present, even there would be probability of more accidents because transport will get affected, right? So wherever this Pisces ascendant, whichever country is having Pisces ascendant, that country's communication would go bad. The country, based on some communication from the lower ground level or from ministries, if the higher level rulers take that communication as granted and they take some decisions based on that, if they make any rules based on that, those are going to affect the public mood and sentiment, and that change in public mood and sentiment would have a long-term impact, would have a long-run impact, definitely, right? So better rulers would try to assess the communication they are receiving from various ministries, from various lower grounds. Then only they take a decision, then only they make a policy based on that. Without just by taking the lower ground communication or communication from different ministries and they make a policy based on that, that policy is going to make a long-term bad impact on the nation, right? So the Rahu is not at all a very positive energy. It's a malefic energy. The only thing is out of the box thinking, and because of that we may expect a very good research oriented innovation, a very out of the box innovation. Maybe we may invent a new drug out of it, right? That is a different scenario, but most of it is on the negative side. So better countries take care of this. So thanks for watching my video. We'll meet in our next video. Thank you.